done and I learned through the course and everything, that I just felt like I knew so much more about my body.
Yeah.
Going into this labor, that it made me a lot more comfortable making those decisions kind of on the fly.
Yeah. You are listening to Belly Birth Beyond with Pelvic Floor Mama. I'm your host, Becca Boeving, pelvic rehab certified coach and mom of two. Welcome to the safe space where no topics of motherhood are off limits and judgment is left at the door. Too many mamas are dismissed when they've got valid concerns. If you're sick of hearing that's normal when it feels otherwise, keep listening. Welcome back to Belly Birth Beyond. I am so excited because we have a special guest. She was actually a mama in one of the labor coaching groups. So I'll let her just share who she is and a little bit about her baby.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Mallori Miller. I live in Washington, D.C., and I'm a second-time mom, but first time in the community. I was looking for a better labor and birth experience, and I found Becca through Instagram just randomly and started watching her content and decided to dive in and purchase the course, and I'm so grateful that I did. I'm 8 weeks postpartum with my little baby boy.
I still can't believe that.
It's crazy how fast the time goes.
Especially with that second. It's even more so. I don't know how that goes. Yep. So, well, are you comfortable sharing a bit about your first birth and how that experience was?
Yeah. So my first birth, the birth itself actually wasn't super terrible. I did have gestational diabetes in my first pregnancy, so that kind of affected a lot of things. And my daughter ended up being 10 pounds.
Yeah.
So I went into labor naturally a couple weeks before my due date. And I pushed for 3 hours. I did get an epidural. But when she came out, she was 10 pounds. So there was some damage done and recovery was really difficult. And also I was a first time mom. I had no idea what I was doing. I gave birth to her in November, and I feel like with the winter blues, it was just kind of like not the best time for a postpartum. And so I knew the second time around, I really wanted something different. And I knew, I fortunately was still able to have a vaginal delivery with my first. And I knew I really wanted that with my second as well, but I didn't want to push for 3 hours.
No.
For sure.
I don't think anyone wants to push for 3 hours.
No.
And I don't know where this expectation, like in the hospital setting, comes from, where it's like, oh, you'll push for a few hours, and that's just kind of what it is. It's like, when are we going to learn to do better?
Yeah. Well, and I think one thing, like your course was so helpful. And even talking about just getting him in the right position and setting everything up, but even that you don't have to push when you're 10 centimeters. Like that doesn't necessarily mean that your body is ready.
Yeah.
And that's information that I took a birth course with my first through the hospital, but they don't tell you any of that stuff. And I just felt very underprepared going into labor. So
yeah,
it was a much different experience this time.
I don't like to talk bad about birth, like hospital birth courses, because they're trying to educate you. But I really feel like, and you'll hear like labor and delivery nurses and other people talk about, it's more of teaching you how to be like a good patient in the hospital and more like their policies and stuff.
Yeah.
Opposed to like the physiological side of birth, which some people are like, what the heck? But just yes, your birth was, or your body was made to give birth, and sometimes we do need intervention and stuff, but also we need to understand like the process of birth and what we can do to improve it. Or if something like at the end of your pregnancy, you had increased ultrasounds and stuff, didn't you, with your second? Because
I did. Yeah. He had a varix vein cord issue. Like I had never heard of this before, but it's where his vein for his umbilical cord was like a little bit larger than normal. And they were concerned that blood would pool there and potentially form a clot. And then that could move elsewhere in his body and could be obviously very dangerous or potentially fatal. So towards the end of my pregnancy, I was being monitored at the hospital every week. And they did encourage me to get induced, and I did go ahead and get induced early. Just because I felt like I didn't want to take any risks or chances. And since it was my second, I was a bit more comfortable. Like, I'd been through it once. I kind of knew how labor would go. And I actually had a really wonderful experience being induced. I know that is not the case for everyone, but it was so weird. I just showed up at the hospital at 7 a.m., checked in, and they got me to my room. And it's like, okay, I'm going to have a baby today.
Yeah.
And he was born by 4:30 that afternoon. So it actually was a wonderful experience for me. But I know a lot of that is because I did the work prior to induction and everything like that. So.
And did you feel more comfortable going into that birth too? Like, you had a better, just under, like, I feel like how we feel internally, like if we have fear or we have like concern, that's going to affect our birth, even subconsciously. Right.
Yeah, totally.
So
totally. I'm very much of a like type A. I want to know everything that's happening. I like everything planned and ordered. You obviously can't do that entirely in birth, but it was really helpful to have been through it a first time. This time I felt like I knew exactly what to expect. And it was just a much better full process for me. So, and I think it even carried over into postpartum. I didn't have nearly as hard of a time postpartum. I knew what to expect. Like, I mean, you do feel like you got hit by a truck the first day.
Yeah, you do.
Like, there's no way around that. That is just, but I had the perspective of this is going to pass pretty quickly, you know?
Yeah.
And it did. And so it's been great. Yeah.
I still can't believe it's been 8 weeks.
I know. Me neither.
I feel like we were just sitting here talking about, well, you just had that diagnosis. I feel like we were just talking about some of the changes and I remember you also saying that the ultrasound tech had mentioned like his position and I mean, I'm sure you can talk better on it, but something about he's ready to go. He's right there. He's in a good position. So whenever it's time, you need to get here fast.
Yeah. So, I was going every single week for monitoring, and I'd get a different ultrasound tech every time. And it was at the hospital. So they're like very highly trained and skilled. Every single time I went, they were like, wow, he is far down in that pelvis. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I could feel him. Yeah. I could feel him down.
Yeah. You're like, you're telling me.
Yeah. Like, yeah, I know. And they're like, man, when you go into labor, you better just make sure that you hop in the car and get here because he's going to come quick.
Yeah.
And he did. He really did. So it was all from the stretches and positioning and stuff that we did through the course. He just moved into the perfect spot, and I only pushed 3 pushes.
That's awesome.
10 minutes total, and he was out.
So you went from 3 hours to 3 pushes in 10 minutes. So that is awesome. So when the birth happened and were they like, okay, you're 10 centimeters, time to push, or how did that side of things go?
Yeah. So I progressed pretty quickly. I did get an epidural. I think I already said that. I'm not a pain person, and I had one with my first, and I really trusted my hospital and the doctors, and it was a fantastic experience. Like
you do not have to justify that to anyone. It is your birth. You can do what you want with it. And that is amazing.
Anesthesiologist. And it was awesome because I was induced, they actually started the epidural before I was even in pain, which was really nice. I didn't know that could happen. And I was talking to the nurse. We were talking about exactly when I should get it. And I'm like, well, I'm not feeling anything yet. Contractions had started, and I was like 2 centimeters, almost 3 when I checked in.
Okay.
And contractions had started because I'd already started Pitocin. And I'm like, well, I'm not feeling anything. Should I wait until I feel something? And she's like, why? If you know you're going to get it, then go ahead. And I'm like, okay. So I did, and it was great because I never really felt a ton of pain, and it helped my body relax. And I got to 10 centimeters from the time they started Pitocin to the time I was at 10. It was probably about 4 hours,
Okay.
3 hours,
Yeah.
3.5, 4. So not bad. And I was just chilling that whole time. But then I got to 10 and my doctor came in and checked me. And she's like, you're at 10, you're ready to go. But I still didn't feel a big urge to push.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, hey, I want to labor down for a little bit. And she said, okay, well, why don't we do a practice push and see what happens? And he was at a -1, I think, or -2.
Okay.
When she checked, and I was at 10
Yeah.
centimeters. And with one practice push, he dropped to a +1.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That does not happen often at all.
And then it was two pushes after that, and he was out. So
that's awesome. Your body was like, we're ready.
Yep. She was like, you're at a positive station now. Do you want to just try again? I'm like, okay. And my husband was like, yeah, I can see his head. I'm like, okay.
You're like, okay, let's do it.
So even though I didn't really feel the urge to push, my body was ready.
Yeah, it worked in your fit. Yeah. And see, I love that because there's not a one size fits all when it comes to birth, as you've talked about. And so you had those tools of like, well, you said I'm a -1, so I just kind of want to labor down. So these are things that did you know these things with your first, or are these the things that you learned from like the labor coaching and the program and things like that?
I had no idea. I don't even think I knew about station with my first. No one talks about that.
No.
They all talk about you're 10 centimeters, so you're ready.
Yep.
But no one talks about like the physiological where they are in your pelvis and like if you feel ready or anything like that. So I still didn't feel ready to push. Like I didn't feel an urge to push, but I knew once he got to a +1 and we pushed one more time, and my husband's like, yeah, he's right there. And from the ultrasounds, from the
he was so close. Yeah.
I'm like, we should just do this now.
Yeah. And so you were able to make that decision, and that was awesome. And especially having your provider, I mean, in a way she was like, well, let's just kind of see, and you were comfortable with that, which is great.
Yeah.
And then she's like, well, this is where we are now. What would you like to do? And you felt comfortable enough and probably educated enough to be like, oh, okay, like let's just get the show on the road. Let's meet this baby.
I felt so much more in control. Not that you can ever control anything in birth, but I just had the knowledge of knowing, where he is in my pelvis and like how much farther he has to go down, and just all the work that we've done and I learned through the course and everything, that I just felt like I knew so much more about my body.
Yeah.
Going into this labor, that it made me a lot more comfortable making those decisions kind of on the fly.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, you can't really control anything that happens, but just knowing the different options or like the different things is so important. And and like you just said, I knew more about my body. Like there's so many things that I feel like we just don't know as women about our bodies, and that we're not taught.
Yeah. Well, and I think in birth, especially, a lot of people go into it blind and they're thinking about the baby, which is important.
Yeah.
And making sure that he is safe and there's no, like, one of my biggest fears was the cord's going to get wrapped around his neck or something like that, and you're thinking about your baby, but you're not thinking about you are birthing your baby.
Yeah. You are going through this, you're going to hold on to this memory.
Yeah.
It's your experience.
Yeah. And I will say, I also had a fantastic labor and delivery nurse who was, when I first got into the room, she was like, what are your expectations for this birth? And what do you want to see? And I said, no C-section. Really want to avoid a C-section if possible. Definitely want an epidural. And I want to labor down if I'm not ready to push. And she got all of that, and she really advocated for me and was super helpful. And I know not everyone gets that
Yeah.
experience. So I'm really grateful for her too. She was fantastic.
There are some amazing labor and delivery nurses out there. And I remember our first pregnancy, like the first one that turned south fast.
Yeah.
It was a weekend. Again, it was an induction like you. We were like 41 plus.
Yeah.
But I was at like 0 centimeters. And now, like looking back, I was 0 centimeters. I was like 10% of face. I'm like,
It was your,
why? Like,
yeah.
yeah, why did I go in for an induction? My body was nowhere near ready. And the labor and delivery nurse we had there was, oh my gosh, I remember my husband and I during the day, she was a veteran. She'd been there for, I think, like 20 years, and we just adored her. And I
Yeah.
remember we like held the bar for every medical professional, like at her standard. And then with our second, we actually switched providers because, you know, trying to have a VBAC after cesarean and all those types of things. And so we switched providers. And I remember just going, and like everyone we met at this new place was like, my husband and I are like, okay, our standard was her. And I feel like not to like disregard everything she did for us because she was amazing, but I feel like everyone is either at her level or above. We're like,
Yeah.
how did this happen?
Yeah.
So it's just different experiences. It's different hospitals. It's different cultures. It's different, you know, sometimes it's like, is that labor and delivery nurse having a bad day or a bad personal day? Or, you know,
True. Yeah.
there's like, we're all people and we all have things going on. And it's important to remember that it's your birth, it's your experience, and it's for everyone else there, it's their job. Not that they
Yeah.
don't want to see with like that labor and delivery nurse probably want to do everything in her power to make sure that you had the best birth you could, but not necessarily everyone is going to think like that. Usually at the end of the day, it's like, oh, you know, we had 3
Yeah.
babies today and that was
Yeah.
my day. You know, they're not going to think twice about it. Where this is going to be like the first birthday is going to roll around and you're going to be like, oh yeah, this time last year I was being induced and it was a beautiful
Yeah.
experience. Or, you know, my first birth or my first baby's birth, I had PTSD. I was like, oh my gosh, this time last year I was being induced and like all these things happened and like I had
Yeah.
like a mental breakdown.
Yeah. That's awful. Well, and you're so right. Like that's their job.
Mhm.
So, I mean, they care, but you're right. They could be having a bad day. They could have some personal issues that are going on that they're thinking about, not fully present. So I was lucky. I got a great nurse and had a great provider too.
Yeah.
And man, my anesthesiologist was fantastic. But that's luck of the
That's
draw.
awesome. Yeah.
You don't know who you're going to get.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And you were prepared for whatever came at you. You're like,
Yep,
let's just do this. Let's have a baby.
Yeah, I felt prepared. It was such a trip to check into the hospital, not in labor, and be like, I'm having a baby today. Like mentally, that was very strange, but it all worked out.
So different. Yeah, that is amazing. So do you mind sharing like your son's name? Like how was the actual, so the pushing was less time. I remember, so with your first birth, you had like significant, I don't want to say trauma. Yeah, you had significant tearing and just a significant recovery from that. And I remember us talking about how to just try to make that a better experience and not have that happen again. How was it different with your boy?
Yeah, so it was a lot better. I did still tear, but I think, like my doctor said, it was probably kind of inevitable because I had a lot of scar tissue in the area. So I still had like a first, almost second degree tear.
Which is still really good to go from like a very significant tear to a first degree, borderline second degree. Yeah. Not saying that like, you know, that's still a recovery. That's still something you're healing from. But
yeah, with my first, I mean, mentally, I was not in a great place after she was born too. I don't think I had postpartum depression, but I definitely had postpartum anxiety.
Okay.
Breastfeeding was really difficult.
Yeah.
Like
oh my gosh,
everything. Yeah. Everything was just hard. It was it's a complete life change to go from no kids to having a kid. We weren't sleeping, everything.
Mm-hmm.
So this time mentally, I was just a lot more prepared and kind of knew what I was getting into. But again, I didn't tear as much. After my daughter was born, it was a tough recovery. I went to the doctor for my 6 weeks checkup and I'm like, I'm not healing. Like this is not going away. I had something called granular tissue. I don't know
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
know what that is. It's basically where like your skin is not healing. It's still like a open wound type.
Yeah.
And so I had to have several treatments for that. And eventually I just got so kind of frustrated and a little bit scared that
Yeah.
it wasn't healing. I had to have 3 different silver nitrate treatments, which is basically where they burn the tissue.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh,
And then they were like, well, maybe we need to do surgery to remove that. And I just was like, I've been through too much. I can't do this right now. So I kind of just quit going to the doctor, which is not a great thing, but mentally I couldn't handle it at that point.
yeah.
But because of that, it took a lot longer for me to heal. I mean, it was probably 6 months. And then I had a lot of pelvic floor work to do, like
Yeah.
very tight pelvic floor. So going
Yeah.
into this birth, I knew that I needed to do some stuff differently. I got a pelvic wand on your recommendation.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And started using that, and that was really helpful, I think. So it's been much different this time.
That's awesome. And it's nice that you almost prepared yourself postpartum too. Because I think a lot of times we're just thinking about birth and we're like, okay, we're just preparing for this birth and this experience. But postpartum isn't just 6 weeks. It's not
No.
just 6 months. Like postpartum is like infinite. Like technically postpartum is the rest of your life. You just have, like, no matter how old your kids are, you know?
Yeah.
But those changes and stuff, they're like the 6-week appointments just drive me insane. One, why are we, especially someone who has such a significant tear, why are we ignoring you for 6 weeks without giving you support? We could have caught some of that stuff early on.
Mm-hmm.
2, why are we not educating you on things that you can do during those 6 weeks?
Yeah.
In my opinion, those 6 weeks are almost the most crucial to your healing.
Yeah.
That's when you are reconnecting with your body. That's when you, like, your pelvic floor, it yields, like it stretches at least 3 to 4 times the normal size if you have a vaginal birth. And so it has to come back to a normal position. And so often moms are like, or other people are like, oh, you're loose or you're stretched out after birth. But that's not generally the case. Usually your pelvic floor tightens and restricts movement because it's trying to go back to its normal size and it's like freaking out. I don't like, that's not the best way to explain it, but I guess that's the best way I can explain it to you. Through here. And so just like, and then when that happens, then you go at 6 weeks and they're like, well, how are things? Some people don't even have any exams or hands-on or anything at all. It's just questions.
Yeah.
And it's like,
crazy.
Not everyone's healed at 6 weeks, clearly, you know, not everyone's ready for sex at 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone's ready to return to exercise at 6 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I had someone I went to, the wife of someone I went to high school with. Had a birth, and I think she was in labor and then ended up in a C-section.
Okay.
At her 6-week appointment, she got cleared and she went and played volleyball the same day.
Man,
I was like, oh my gosh. I just am cringing at the thought. Like, especially someone who had, like, I had a C-section.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah. That's crazy. I can't even imagine.
Like, we need to take care of our bodies because even though this postpartum experience feels like such a long time, your body is with you forever. And if we don't take care of it now, then we're going to be like having those effects later on. So I guess that's my little rant on that.
I did a lot of work too to set myself up well for postpartum this time around.
Yeah, you did.
I had no idea what I was doing with my first kid. And I didn't realize how ravenously hungry I would be.
Mm-hmm.
Post-birth, like trying to breastfeed and everything.
Yep.
And we didn't have a good setup for like middle of the night stuff. We were getting my daughter up and bringing her all the way downstairs to change her diaper and sitting in front of the TV and watching a show and then trying to get her back to sleep downstairs and then transferring her upstairs. It was a disaster. So this time we set everything up in our room. We have a changing station in there.
Yep.
Bassinets in there. We got another rocker recliner to put in our room that will eventually transfer to the nursery when we transfer him. And probably about starting 4 weeks before I gave birth, we bought a huge freezer from Costco and
Oh,
put it
yeah.
in our basement.
Yeah.
And I made so many meals and snacks and like muffins and stuff that I froze.
Yep.
That really sustained us for the first like month and a half. And we wouldn't have even needed it this time because things have been so much easier.
Yeah.
And I just feel like we've adapted so much better, but I didn't know.
Yeah. You had no idea what to expect.
So it was nice to have all of that stuff. And I know that's a luxury. Like my first time around, we did not have the space for a freezer, all of that. So I'm aware that not everyone can do that, but that was like a game changer for me. So.
I want to know, this is like me, like I want to know what you made because I wanted to do this so bad, especially with my first. It was a COVID baby. I had all the time in the world, I was like, we should just make meals. But I had no idea. I'm not a cook at all. Like I do cook. My husband now cooks too after our second was born. He's amazing.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I don't even know what to cook. I don't know what would freeze well. I don't know and I'd ask people for recipes and stuff, but I'm like, if I don't know the recipe, that takes a lot of time to like look at the recipe and then try and do it. And then I probably sound like, wow.
No, well, I love to cook and so does my husband. And we also love to eat.
Yeah. I mean, I love to eat, but cooking is like, ugh.
One of the biggest things I did, have you read the book? Gosh, I don't remember what it's called, but it's like 40 days postpartum, like the first 40 days.
No, but I'm going to.
I will send you the title. It's
40 days postpartum.
Yeah,
something like that.
It's something. I'll send you the title. You can put it in the show notes.
Okay, there we go.
But it is written by kind of a holistic practitioner.
Okay,
who
love it already.
Who like incorporates Eastern medicine and stuff like that.
Okay.
Like in Korea, women give birth in birthing centers and they don't leave for like 4 weeks if they don't want to. They are catered to.
Wow.
Like
I would love that.
Their family can come in and visit, but their job is to stay in bed, to bond with their baby, to establish breastfeeding, and they are taken care of. So, I mean, in America, we definitely don't have that luxury of the cultural,
Yeah.
But this book talks about how important it is to nourish your body with a lot of warming foods. So I made a lot of soups that froze well.
Okay.
A lot of bone broths, just stuff that is mineral rich.
Yeah, to help healing and stuff. Yeah, love it.
And warm foods are supposed to be really good for you post-birth. Your uterus is shrinking back down.
Yep.
Cold foods affect that. I mean, I know it gets kind of woo-woo, but I truly believe that what you eat affects.
No, it really does.
Body.
Our nutrition is like the most important thing we can do for our bodies, for sure.
Yeah. So I did a lot of that, but then I also made I would make a huge thing of meatloaf for dinner, and I'd make 3 different meatloafs.
Okay.
And then I'd freeze.
And then just freeze them. Yeah. That's smart.
Or the lasagna, or, I'd make muffins and freeze the muffins and that sort of thing. So
do muffins unfreeze well?
Actually, yes. If you follow the right, Sally's Baking Addiction is my favorite blog.
Okay.
She's got a lot of recipes on there, and all of the recipes have instructions for how to freeze them.
Okay.
Muffins freeze great up to 3 months, but it's a little time consuming. You've got to wrap each one individually in plastic wrap before you put it into a
Ziploc bag.
And
okay.
freeze. But it's worth the effort if you
need them.
Yeah. And for postpartum, it was so amazing.
Well, and then they're individual. So you could just pull one out opposed to pulling 20 out or a dozen, And then we
just pulled one out, defrosted in the microwave for a minute, and then you have a nice warm muffin that literally tastes like it just came out of the oven.
That is awesome. Because I'm like, I mean, we freeze bread and stuff, I guess, sometimes. Not us, but actually we do too. Occasionally. And my aunt actually makes she's a registered dietitian, but she makes cupcakes and cakes and stuff.
Hey.
But they're like usually a little bit on the healthier side. Like
Moderation.
it's so funny. Anyways, they're so good though.
Yeah.
But because she's like when she works and she has to have them done by the weekend, like depending on her schedule, for instance, she just made them for the first birthday of one of her grandsons. And so she made them on like Tuesday, I think.
Yeah.
I think she made them Tuesday, and then she froze them until Friday, and then she pulled them out and frosted them and stuff. And they still tasted really good. So
yeah.
I guess we just had the conversation of what's the difference between a muffin and a cupcake.
Not much frosting.
Yeah, that's what we said too. My uncle
maybe
had
a little bit more sugar, but it's mostly frosting.
Yeah, depending on what type of cupcake. Because my uncle, we were with him, and my uncle to my son was like, "Do you want a cupcake?" And he had like carrot cake cupcakes. So we were there for graduation, but then we had like double chocolate chip muffins or something because his daughter wanted them for breakfast. And my son's like, yeah. And he's like, well, do you want chocolate or do you want carrot cake? And he's like, I didn't like the carrot cake. So then he got the chocolate out and he goes, this is a muffin, not a cupcake. And we're like, well, what's the difference between a muffin and a cupcake?
Yep. I think it's frosting.
So we got in that discussion, but that's so funny.
Yeah.
Wow. As a second-time mom, and especially having two different birth experiences, what are some things, or like one piece of advice, maybe I'm putting you on the spot here, that you would tell like a new mom or a first-time mom about whether it's pregnancy or birth or postpartum or something of all the above?
For a first-time mom, the hardest thing for me by far was postpartum. So I will just say, when you're in it, it's hard, but it passes quickly. You're going to look back on it and be like, wow, that was over before I knew it. Like, I'm 8 weeks second-time mom, but 8 weeks postpartum now, and it just has flown by so fast. And the sleepless nights don't last forever.
Yeah.
Stafford, my boy, he's only waking up once a night now, and
That's
he's
amazing.
only 8 weeks.
Yeah.
So, it doesn't last forever. When you're in the thick of it, it feels like it's going to, but there's definitely light at the end of the tunnel. And also enjoy it because you don't get that time back. I feel like I rushed through it so fast with my daughter because I was just so stressed out about everything that I didn't really enjoy like the cuddles and stuff. And now she's so big.
Yeah.
You don't get that time back.
Yeah.
And take a lot of pictures.
Yeah. Take a lot of pictures. And if you need help, I feel like ask for help, especially if you are struggling. It's okay to take a break. It's okay to walk out of the house. It's okay to go somewhere for a little bit. In fact, those breaks are so important. I feel like to like our mental and physical health even.
Yeah.
But as a mom, even if you might not, I know not everyone has the support to be able to do something like that.
Yeah.
But even if your partner can take them or something of that nature, I think it's so important, especially for mom's mental health.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we have those really hard days and we're just like, this is like it, we just need to step out of the house or just to step away for a little bit. And that's something I didn't do at all with my first at all. And it was really hard. And asking for help was hard. Like, I think that was something that I personally had to overcome because I agree, postpartum was way harder than any of the other stuff. Like the recovery lasted so long, like pregnancy only lasts so long. And yes, postpartum only lasts so long too, but it affects like you're not sleeping, your relationship with your partner changes. Now you're in charge of somebody else. You're also healing your body. Like you're trying to breastfeed or you're just trying to feed your child, however that may look like for you. And
yeah, it's true. I think one thing that really helped me with my first two, and I had her in the winter and it was like bad weather, but we got out of the house, like putting her in the bassinet in the stroller. Anytime she started fussing and I didn't know what else to do, I was like, let's just go for a walk. And I was fortunate that she really liked the stroller. Part of that, I think you kind of have to teach your kid to like the stroller.
Yeah.
So like,
or a car seat or
you got to do it for them to adjust to it. But once we got outside, she would quit fussing and she'd be looking around at the trees and that sort of thing. And it was the winter and I had to bundle her up, but it was worth it. Mentally, it helped sustain me because I got out. I could see like I'm moving my body a little bit and it was just so much
more
helpful. So I'm doing that again this time, and it's great.
Yeah, no, getting outside, that is it's such a simple thing, but so valuable for everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody. You're taking me back because our daughter, our second born, was like the best sleeper, honestly. I don't know how that happened. Initially, we're still now we have these diagnoses and stuff we're working with. But it was like as soon as we got our oldest down around like 7:30, she would have just it's like the witching hour people talk about. From like 7 until 9. Maybe like it was usually 9. She was usually a 9 o'clocker for newborn phase for going to sleep. And it would just be like, you're not hungry. You don't need a diaper. We would go stand outside and she's like screaming. We're like, okay, we're just going to stand outside and just be out here for a minute. Cause she was a summer baby. So we're like, okay, we're just going to do this. And then we'd come inside and then my husband would try, and my sister-in-law was like, oh, it can't be that bad type of thing. Like she didn't necessarily mean it that way, but she was just like, well, I'll just come and help. And then she came and I think she saw firsthand like what we were experiencing. And she's like, oh, and I'm like, yeah. So finally it just turned into literally like my boobs are out and I'm just like, she's either on it or she's not, but she's either sleeping or she's like nursing. And it was just like that for 2 hours until it was time to go to bed. Like, you know what? You just have to figure out what works. So outside though is sometimes even now, like kids just need to be outside sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, my kids were wild yesterday or 2 days ago. And I was like, get outside. Go. No, just go.
Well, we just got our, like last summer, towards the end of last summer, we got our patio redone and like our yard and stuff. So now I'm like, go outside barefoot.
Yes.
Get your grounding. Get your feet in the earth. Like, and I feel like it makes a big difference for her. And she just likes to run around.
Just go crazy.
Yeah. But and I will just sit out there. She will just run around and it's really helpful come bedtime.
And then pretty soon Staffer's going to be out there running with her and they're going to be getting into all kinds of mischief.
Yep. But it's fun. Like it's the best. Being a parent is awesome. So.
It is. Now becoming a mom of 2, do you have any advice from going from 1 to 2?
I mean, everyone is different, but I have found this to be so much an easier transition. Like honestly, the hardest thing is the toddler, not the baby. Managing her on the weekends and when she's not in daycare, she just has a lot of energy. So we have to constantly like find things for her to do or go to the park or that sort of thing. So that's been the most challenging in the earlier weeks when we are low on sleep. Yeah. But the baby's been easy. He's been awesome.
That's awesome. I'm so happy for you. And I'm excited because we're going to start into some postpartum things in the next couple weeks, which we've been talking about.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that. I'm the kind of person who needs kind of accountability to motivate myself, I guess. And that's part of the reason why I love the labor course, because we had the coaching calls.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to be great. And I feel like my body's ready to get back to normal. And this is my last kid. So I'm really going to be like, it's time for me to really get back into shape.
Yeah. Now. Let's do this.
I want to feel my body, but then I want to get back in the gym and really like get more muscle. I lost a lot of muscle this pregnancy and that sort of thing. So
yeah. Well, we're going to get started. I'm so excited about it. I'm so excited. I'm the same way with accountability. I feel like it doesn't get any easier. Like my kids can kind of entertain themselves or do their thing. And I'm just like, it's just so hard.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for this accountability for myself too, because I'm going to be doing things along with you guys.
Great.
Is there anything else you want to share before we kind of sign off or?
I'm just like so thankful that I found you randomly on Instagram and I took a chance because there are so many people out there that do what you do.
Yeah.
But I just feel like you're fantastic. I've referred you to a lot of friends and that sort of thing. And you never know when you buy a course on Instagram, what you're getting.
Yes.
But man, you have gone above and beyond for me and for everyone in my little cohort for the labor course. So I'm just really thankful that I found you because truly I had a much better birth experience because of you.
Well, you did all of the work. I just supported you, but thank you so much.
You gave me the information. I wouldn't have had that otherwise. So I'm just really thankful.
Well, it's honestly, I'm so excited to continue doing this journey with you because I've loved getting to know you better and just working with you. This is, I just shared the other day, I was like, this is my favorite thing, is being face to face, even though we're not in person, and just talking and getting to know you outside of just, I don't know, pregnancy and birth, like getting to know Mallori.
Yeah, exactly.
So, well, thank you so much for coming on and for sharing your story and your journey and giving some really good advice to moms out there, because every experience is so different, and it can just feel overwhelming and challenging and sometimes frustrating, because as you said, there's so many different people out there that have different information, or, you know, and it's like, what do I need and what's best for me? Yeah. And that's important. So thank you so much for coming on. Absolutely. And we will be back next week.
All right.
If you are interested in joining labor coaching, just like Mallori did, you can sign up for August labor coaching. Down below in the show notes, there's a link and it can take you right to labor coaching, or just grabbing the Pelvic Power Labor Done Right labor prep and birth course, whichever one suits you. And I'm so excited to get started on this journey with you. Nothing is TMI when it comes to motherhood, and common doesn't necessarily mean normal. Always trust your gut and never stop advocating for the care you deserve. If you enjoyed this podcast, help it reach more mamas like you by subscribing and leaving a review on your preferred listening platform. Keep in touch with me on Instagram by following Pelvic Floor Mama. See you next time.